See, we have these statements starting from question number 8 to 13. We need to match each statement with the information given in the passage. And if the information matches with the one given in the passage, the answer is going to be true. By match, I mean the context and the meaning. The words might be and they will be different by using synonyms, right? So let's start. If the information is similar to this particular statement, the answer is true. If it is opposite or in contrast to this, the answer is going to be false. So, if we cannot decide whether the information given is true or false, the answer is going to be not given. Okay. See, in reading, it is very, very important to understand the demand of the question. Okay. The growing importance of the middle classes led to an increased demand for dictionaries. Let's discuss the question first. There are two things happening here. Growing importance of the middle classes, it led to something. This is linking two parts of the statement. Growing importance of the middle classes led to an increased demand for dictionaries. So, first there was rise in the importance of the middle class, which again led to an increase in the demand for the dictionaries. So, if we see here, both the things are rising or growing importance and increase in demand for the dictionaries. All right, let's go back to the passage and let's focus on this word right here, middle class, because everywhere they have talked about dictionaries, right? The specific word here is middle class, which has been linked to the dictionaries. All right, let's come back to the passage now. Middle class, middle class. All right, so we will have a quick scan. Here they are talking about this compilation, this and that, practical need, the rise of the dictionaries. Okay, we have found something here. The rise of the dictionaries is associated with, it is linked with. Now, if we come back to the question here, led to, basically, this portion here is linking these two, right? So they're saying the rise of the dictionaries is associated with the rise of the English middle class. All right. So what is happening to both of these things here? Let me again emphasize this. The rise, the rise of what? The rise of dictionaries is linked with what? The rise of the English middle class. So, what is the answer going to be? Both the things are growing. One happened because of the other, or one is associated with the other. So, the answer is true. The growing importance of the middle class led to an increased demand for dictionaries. The rise of the dictionaries is associated with the rise of the English middle class. Now, even further, they have given the reason, they have explained the answer. Who were anxious to define and circumscribe the various worlds to conquer, lexical as well as social and commercial. All right. So, they have given the explanation also further. So you need to be confident enough. You need to focus on this information because we have only 60 minutes to finish the reading. However, if you're not satisfied this information, you can always read further. Just have a look at it, right? Moving to the next question now. The answer to this one is true. Ninth question. Johnson has become well known since his death. See, again, two factors are here. Johnson, first thing first, Johnson is the common name in all of these questions. Okay. Ninth question says Johnson has become more well known since his death. more well known. Two factors since his death. Well known, death. So they are saying only after his death he became more well known. Before that, he wasn't much famous among the people. Only after his death he became famous. Even more famous when he was alive, right? Now, let's see. Let's focus on the word being famous here or being well known. Because again, Johnson is the common word in all the questions, right? This and that, it is highly appropriate that Dr. Samuel, the very model of an 18th century literary man, as famous in his own time as in ours. See what they're trying to say? As famous, let me emphasize this portion here, in his own time. By this, they're trying to say in his own time means when he was alive, as in ours means right in the present time or after his death, but he was as famous as in ours means he was still famous when he was alive, right? So there is a contradiction here. They are saying more well known, more well known, but in the passage, what is the contradiction? As famous, as famous, as famous. This is the contradiction right here, right? So they're talking about it, it is similar. The answer is going to be false, right? Moving to the next question, question number 10. Johnson had been planning to write a dictionary for several years. Planning for several years. Okay, let's scan this quickly. Planning is the main word here that we need to focus upon, right? Planning for several years. Let's see. Okay, this we have read this paragraph. Poetic. So they are talking about dictionaries, the compilation, the task was difficult, this and that. Again, he rented a garret. We have read this already, so you can ignore that if you're confident enough. Rickety chair, assistants, how many words he wrote. See, now if we come back to the question, had been planning to write. So whenever we talk about planning, where should the answer be situated in this passage? When we talk about planning, it should be maybe in the beginning or at least in the first page. I'm not saying this is a rule, but this is how you have to sometimes proceed in reading confidently in order to save your time, right? So, up until here, we haven't read anything about that if he planned or not, right? And moving further, we are moving towards the conclusion of the passage. And even after this, they haven't mentioned anything about planning in all of the passage. So the answer is not given. This vital information is absent. All right. So the answer is not given. Okay. Moving to question number 11 now. Johnson set up an academy to help with the writing of his dictionary. All right. So what did Johnson do here? He set up an academy, okay, for what? To help with the writing of the dictionary. Okay, so we can ignore this word for now. We do not have to underline this again and again. Dictionary and Johnson are the common words here. Set up an academy to help with writing. Set up an academy to help with the writing. Now, one word that we can focus specifically is academy here. Okay. All right. Let's see. We have read much of the passage. Academy, academy. Okay, right here I can see something. So in the question they mentioned set up an academy to help with the writing. Here, up until his time, the task of producing a dictionary was impossible without, see, up until his time. They are not talking about the time of Johnson, but up until his time, until he came and started his own work, the task of producing a dictionary had seemed impossible without the establishment of an academy. So without an academy, it wasn't possible. With before Johnson, they are talking. However, about Johnson, if we see, Johnson decided, what did he decide? He did not need an academy. See, the answer is very clear here. What they're saying, he did not need an academy. All the people before him, they could not do anything without an academy. However, he himself did not need an academy. In the question, they have mentioned he set up an academy, but there is a clear contradiction in the passage where they have mentioned he did not need an academy. All right, he would write a dictionary himself. Again, that is the explanation which you can ignore. So the answer to the 11th question is false. There is a contradiction. Question number 12 now. Johnson only received payment for his dictionary on its completion. See, only received, only. He only received payment when? Received payment for the dictionary on its completion. Once the dictionary was completed, he received his payment at the end, right? Now, the focus, it is payment. Okay, coming back to the passage, we already had scanned the information. We read about some payment right over here. Okay, he was to be paid this much amount in installments. First of all, in the question, they're talking about one time payment or payment at the end, and here they're talking about installments. This is a hint here. Now, even further, they have clarified, and from this he took money to rent, after which he carried out the work. Only after receiving this installment, he was able to rent the garret. Okay, rent the garret and continue with the work of his dictionary. So, how can we say that he received it after completion while he was still renting, while using this same money? He rented a garret and continued making his dictionary. So the answer to this one is also false, because in the question they have mentioned after the dictionary. However, he received it in installments and he used those installments to actually complete the dictionary. Okay, so the answer is false again. 13th question now. Not all of the assistants survived to see the publication of the dictionary. So, the dictionary that he was working upon, he had some assistants working with him. However, not all, not all of the assistants survived to see the publication. So, even before the dictionary was published, maybe some of them or one of them died. All right. So not all survived means some died. Let's see. Not all and assistants we are talking about here. So we read about the assistants somewhere here, like copying clerks, right? Working, standing up. He was also helped by, okay, they have specifically mentioned here about assistants. Assistants. Now the answer, two of whom died whilst or while the dictionary was still. See, these two words here are very important. While means it was still going on. The preparation was still going on. Okay, and they died before even the dictionary was published. So in the question, they have clearly mentioned not all of them survived, and there they are justifying the same information by saying that how many of them died? Two of them died, which means not all of them were able to survive because two of them died. Two of them died. Two. Not all means here two of them died, right? To see the publication. So, anyways, the answer to this information, to this statement is true. So, that is the end of the reading for now. I will be discussing different question types. And if you have any doubts, you can reach out using this email address. I will be happy to help you, right? Thank you very much.